afternoon or evening, vinyl community. As Pilton here, with a kind of a response to low noise Jason Skills video. I started chatting to him. Only met him on the VC yesterday, and we started talking about techno and house and etc. etc. And I was saying, I think I sort of did a full conversion around '92. Up to about '92, I only really owned. Well, I owned a lot of guitar records, 800, 900, and they're all pretty left field, sort of punk grunge. And then I started going out to clubs. I moved near Brighton, and so that involved going to quite a lot of clubs. And I heard this song called "Someday" by C.C. Rogers while I was losing my marbles on the dance floor, and it sort of blew my mind. And from that moment onwards, from about '93 onwards, I pretty much gave up with guitar music, and I was just into dance. So I thought I said to him, he did a great video last night showing a lot of sort of minimal house or minimal techno, and I said, well, I'll respond, but the records I've grabbed are way more commercial. And in fact, all these records I think probably went about top 20 in the UK, because dance especially during the Britpop years just went berserk in Britain. And I know me and my mates, as I said, I live near Brighton. I was between Brighton and Bognor, and we were pretty much clubbing 3 or 4 times a week. It was insane. And obviously I can't go to clubs now. If I turn up to a club now, then people either think I'm there to pick up my daughter, or if I actually get through the door, then people start throwing their drugs down the toilet because they just assume I'm like undercover branch or something like that. So yeah, my clubbing days are very much over now. But I grabbed a few records out, and I say these were all pretty commercial. But yeah, it's good to run through them, and I'm probably going to enjoy playing these tonight. The first one, I'm going to go with the absolute monster. When I went to Tribal Gathering in '96, which was one of the last probably nutty raves I ever went to. This was the absolute anthem, "The Funk" by Daft Punk. This was getting played all the time at that event. It had just come out. I think this sort of went top 10 in the UK. I think it's their greatest ever moment. The price of Daft Punk records have suddenly gone berserk since the middle of last week. I don't think this one will, because it's seen better days. It's been pretty well bashed, but it's fantastic. I think everyone knows The Funk, and yeah, just an amazing tune. Speaking of Daft Punk, I think they were behind the anthem of 2000 in the UK, and I think this went to #1, which is Stardust. Again, the price of this has gone absolutely nuts, but its music sounds better with you. It's a one-sided kind of record. I think I bought this in HMV for about $2.99, and I say this was just the absolute anthem of the summer in the UK. And I think it's Daft Punk who are behind it. Am I right? I don't know, but I think they're involved. But absolutely sublime. I picked this one out. It wasn't really a dance floor monster, but I thought it was quite interesting, and it was in my pile. Massive Attack, Unfinished Sympathy. Again, one of the anthems of '91. Interesting, the record sleeve only says Massive. Don't know if anyone out there knows why. Let me tell you. It's because it came out at the height of the Gulf War, and the BBC, in their wisdom, felt that the word attack would cause untold stress on the Great British public. So to get radio play, they had to take the word attack out of their name for a while, because obviously the Gulf War, attack. And the first victim of war, they say, is the truth, and it would seem to be the second victim of war is Bristol-based trip-hop bands. It does seem a slightly bizarre move, but quite an interesting little historical moment. And yeah, that's why they had to move Attack from the name. But what an amazing tune, and what an amazing video as well. Next up, an absolute monster, Orbital. This has got Belfast on it, which was a real hands in the air moment in the UK. I remember every club I went to around '92, '93 used to play this, and people just used to go berserk to this. Speaking of Orbital, the sort of next phase for them, they went a bit more progressive. They brought out the Brown album after the Green album, and this is called Radicchio 1, but it's got Halcyon on it, which was the absolute epic, sort of a hypnotic, almost trancey. It samples that track called A Good Day, which I think had got to #1 about 2 years previously, and it samples that to really hypnotic effect. It's an absolutely fantastic track, and it goes on for about 11 minutes. All these songs sound amazing when they're on 12-inch, because obviously you've got the groove spacing, and yeah, you put them on the Technics, and it just sounds amazing, and the neighbours get the hump. But yeah, Orbital, Halcyon, fantastic stuff. Talking of Orbital, they decided in the UK, especially when I was going out, it was UK always liked a slightly more harder, hands in the air sound, and Orbital thought they'd try their hands at a kind of a more hardcore sound, and they changed their name to the Golden Girls and brought out Kinetic on R&S, and I really recommend this. It's fantastic, really catchy. It's just the best mix for me is the Cubic 22 remix of Kinetic by the Golden Girls. It's an absolute hands in the air. Whenever this got played, the place would just go berserk, and yeah, absolutely love this track. I know this one came up on Jason's. Again, Tribal Gathering. This was again, along with Daft Punk, this was getting absolutely rinsed. Higher State of Consciousness by Joss Rinks, sort of a breakbeat acid house monster, which just hits a level of delirium about 5 minutes in, where the 303 acid house drum machines, squelchy bedlam. I mean, whenever this was played, it would go right off, and yeah, this was fantastic. I remember I used to go to a place in Bognor called the Empire, which was pretty moody club, but it was full of lunatics. And the weird thing about it is, if I didn't really do drugs, it wouldn't really have much interest to me, and so everyone would be on the dance floor, often sort of stacking pills or E's. And then I'd go to the bar, and I mean, they'd get ignored, but I'd go to the bar and I'd order like a lager, and suddenly I'd be viewed with massive suspicion, and you know, security would be, you know, everyone over, he's ordered a lager, and suddenly I'd be surrounded, and so yeah, strange times, the mid-90s. This was another one which really used to set the dance floor off, which is this was a pretty big hit, and sort of almost the start of Euro trance, but this is a more upbeat sort of trance, and it's Atlantic Ocean Waterfall, which again, big hit in the UK, and it's got that sort of euphoric sound. Just a fantastic track, and I used to absolutely love it. This is I think the '96 remix, which is appalling, but it's got the original on the back. So yeah, fantastic stuff. Jason, again, I think you might have shown this one. I couldn't work out if this is what you were showing. This is an absolute dance floor destroyer. LFO, the Leeds Warehouse mix. Unfortunately, I've lost my purple sleeve, which it used to come in a lovely purple sleeve, but this is pretty desirable now. You don't see this around a lot. This came out in 91, I think, or 90. I think they were also the lads behind Tricky Disco, which they brought out. This is Tricky Disco, which was another huge bleep track in the UK. And yeah, LFO, this is a monster, an absolute masterpiece. And the bass on this, I can't even play it around in here because the neighbours will go berserk, but the bass is insane. Talking of insane bass, Leftfield, Africa Shocks, but it's got Fat Planet on side 2, and anyone in the UK will know Fat Planet because it was the soundtrack to the Guinness advert, the infamous dun 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 with a bloke tick following talk, and he was, I think, surfing on a white horse on the advert. So anyone in the UK will know what I'm talking about. I love Leftfield's first album. This period of Leftfield wasn't as big for me, but Fat Planet is an absolute killer, and it's got the Dave Clark remix of Fat Planet on here, and absolute cracking track. And yeah, $4.49 in HMV. That's quite a lot of money for a 12-inch back then. I don't know if anyone remembers this one, but it came out around 97, around the time of Daft Punk, and this was huge. Again, I think this was top 10 in the UK. Remember Me by Blue Boy, which was a kind of a breakbeat, almost easy listening, but it got a lot of traction in the UK, this. And I think it might have been a top 5. And again, I looked on Discogs, and this has suddenly become quite expensive, which really surprises me. But it's a great track. A little bit more downbeat, but yeah, fantastic. Absolute iconic when I was going out this. The Night Crawlers, Push the Feeling On. Again, this has got the MK mix, which was the big mix for me. And again, this was everywhere. And if you put Kiss FM on now, you're going to hear this about 8 times a day. But an absolute cracker of a tune. I put this in here just because it was amazing. Happy Mondays. Rope for Luck. And for a lot of guys like me, this was their first drunken forays onto the dance floor. The infamous Andrew Weatherall, who sadly died last year, and Andrew Weatherall is an absolute legend to the dance scene. He did one remix, but I actually prefer the Vince Clarke remix on this, and this has got one of the greatest videos ever. But the Vince Clarke remix, I think it's fantastic, and yeah, this used to get me waving my invisible maracas on the dance floor like Bez. Happy Mondays, Rope for Luck, Vince Clarke remix, awesome. Another early 90s cracker, 808 State. This is the Extended Pleasure of Dance EP, but really the headline for this for me was side 2 Cubic with the absolute, it's an amazing tune. It starts off with like an Eddie Van Halen guitar freak out and then just moves into the most insane keyboard riff of all time, and again another one that used to send dance floors into disarray, and probably a big influence on the future sort of happy hardcore sound, because it was just bonkers. This another one, awesome, Joey Beltram Volume 1, and this contains Energy Flash, which for anyone in the early 90s was one of the great European sort of techno-y Hoover tunes of all time. Absolutely love it, and it's got a subsonic trance on it as well, which is superb. And this was insane. Bizarre Inc. Playing with Knives, again another UK dance floor mayhem. Just the quadrant mix on this is you know, it's got the big pianos and the nutty keyboards, and yeah, this was just a fantastic tune. Mickey Finn's Badass. This was kind of at the arse end of jungle, really, around 97, 98, but yeah, it's a dance, it causes dance floor mayhem wherever it goes. Fantastic track. And I had to include this, even though it's not the 90s and the rest of these were, but the greatest tune of all time. A guy called Geralds Voodoo Ray. Although this is the remix, which isn't as good, it's got the original on side 2, and yeah, I was saying to Jason last night, this was my entry point probably into dance, and I don't think it's ever been bettered. It was the UK taking America on at its own game, and in my opinion, for once beating it, and a guy called Geralds Voodoo Ray is still, when I hear it now, if I'm ever at a club, which is very rare, they still drop this and it still sounds insane. But yeah, fantastic stuff. Anyway, thanks for putting up with me, and I'm sure I'll have some more videos soon. Thanks a lot. Bye now.